Hey everybody, Kevin here, Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast, and you know the drill by now. This week, it's just going to be John and I in the house, so I'll be kicking it over to the two of us in just a little bit here. We've got two little chunks of conversation coming up, mostly video game related, but even some of it, I've been getting back on the horse with recording some videos again, although I've been going commentary free and just doing some gameplay only videos, unfortunately just due to my back pain levels being kind of out of control lately. I don't want to say out of control, but I've just been, not 100% in the mood to sit down and set everything up and record some commentary while I'm playing, but I still want to keep the, game recommendations coming over on the YouTube channel. So I've been getting back on the, horse with checking out some random games, which I'll be talking about here in just a little bit. I've been playing a bunch of demos over on Steam and on the Switch a little bit too, but I'll be focusing on some of the stuff that I've been playing on Steam. And then, we talk a little bit about some of the games from Goodfeel, the developer, kind of spinning off of my nephew and I have been watching a bunch of gameplay videos on YouTube, which is kind of what has encouraged me to just say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to record some gameplay videos as well for stuff that can basically speak for itself. But we've been watching some Princess Peach Showtime and a bunch of other Nintendo stuff as well. But in particular, he just seems enamored with that Princess Peach Showtime, so much so that I actually scooped up a copy of it. I haven't played it just yet. I know I talked about the demo for that game ages and ages ago, probably on a Save It for the Cast episode. But then we talk a little bit about how I've been revisiting some of the Wii games lately and playing with the Wii remote turned sideways, the games that kind of force you to do that. We even talk a little mobile game. Nothing, again, we're just touching on a lot of these subjects. We talk a little Warren Spector, a little bit of my restraint as of late for some of the stores that have the buy 4 or buy 5, get 1 free, and actually walking away from, getting a big stack of games as opposed to just looking, for 2 or 3 more to round it out. So a whole bunch of different topics coming up for, in a couple of short little snippets of conversation. But, as for some of the stuff that I've been playing lately, like I said, I've been bouncing around over on Steam, checking out a bunch of demos, kind of spawned by, there's been a bunch of games on my wish list on my Switch, so much so to the point where I actually ran out of space. I tried to add something the other day and it was hey, you ran out of room. So I was looking at all the games on sale and kind of checking out if there was a demo for the game either on Switch or on Steam. And then if there was, checking out or even just looking at the reviews and seeing, what people think about it and clearing off some of the games on my wish list, or like I said, checking out some of the demos to see if I want to scoop the game up or, keep it on my wish list, so on and so forth. And that led me over to Steam, like I said. And the first game that I checked out is actually a very recently released game called Ratcheteer DX. And this is a top-down, Zelda-style adventure that I believe was originally released for the Playdate exclusively, but now it's available on Switch and also on Steam, where they do have a demo on Steam. And you can really see that Playdate inspiration. It definitely, if you didn't know any better, you might think it's a, Game Boy or Game Boy Color inspired game. But with some of the dithering and the effects that they have, the main kind of core mechanic in this game, or one of the main core mechanics, is you get a lantern that you can turn on and off, and in certain chunks of the levels or dungeons or whatever, it'll be totally pitch black. In other parts, it'll be if you're in the overworld, but you're in kind of a, cavernous region or a mountainous region, it might be a little bit dithered. So you got almost a fog of war effect. But you can turn your lantern on and see a little bit more. And then if you do a little bit of exploring in the opening section, you find a magnifying glass, which you can toggle on and off, and it'll basically show you. It's really great. It shows you every single thing that you can interact with in the game, including, people that you can talk to, and the little icon will go away. Number one, if you just toggle it off, but if you have it toggled on, if you've, exhausted all the dialogue options with a character or with a particular interactable object, the little eye icon that shows above the character or whatever will just kind of disappear. So it's really, really great. I love the style. And then you do get a wrench for a little bit of combat as well. At first I was thinking this was going to be a little more puzzle and adventure focused, which it very much is, but it's definitely throwing a little combat into the mix as well. I was really, really impressed with the demo. Played a little mini boss battle, and then right as the game was kind of getting going, the demo wrapped up. So it definitely left me in a spot where I'm yep, I definitely want to snag this game at some point. And then one of the other games that I checked out was a game that's been on my wish list on Switch for quite some time. It's called Warden. And this game kind of caught my eye just because of, I guess, the thumbnail initially and like the palette and whatnot. And then when you check out the game, the pixel art, it's got like a, 3 or 4 color pixel palette, and you can swap those out as you unlock them in the game. At least presumably there's a few that you can pick from in the demo here. And this is kind of like a deck building, roguelike strategy game. Your character's kind of moving along a straight line, and just these you're moving along almost like a board game, set of tiles. So you might, each card has like a dice attached to it, or a die that has, any number from 1 to 6 on it. At least in the early goings, I didn't get any 5s or 6s, but I think you can upgrade your cards. And then they'll also, on top of that die that's attached to the card, will have like a shield or a sword or a different attack. In the demo, you have 2 different characters that you can pick between. So you're kind of like just, trying to pick between your different sets of cards. And as you kill enemies that are on this grid or on this timeline, if you will, it's not a timeline, but for lack of a better, bar graph, whatever you want to call it. I'm not using any of the correct terms here to describe this, but nonetheless, you're just basically choosing, okay, this enemy's 3 spaces away. I want to, use this with a shield so that I'll block their attack. And then, if you move more spaces, then, if there's an enemy in the way, you'll kind of slash through them if you have enough to, if you'll do enough damage to kill them. But if not, you'll kind of still, stay stuck in your tracks, or, stuck in that same exact spot right in front of the enemy. So it gets a little bit tricky. It's definitely a little, fun little demo here. It does kind of wrap up right as things start to get a little more interesting. So I'm a little bit bummed that that's where the demo leaves off, but that's kind of also a perfect way to leave it, because it definitely, kept me in a spot where I'm thinking, hey, I definitely want to scoop this game up on Switch, because I could definitely see sitting down and playing, a few runs. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the game Shogun Showdown. I think that game is definitely a little bit better, Shogun Showdown, that is. But Warden definitely had a little bit of that addictive quality to it. So I'll definitely be scooping that one up on Switch as well at some point. And then another game that I checked out the demo for, this one's not on Switch, just on Steam. It's called GluMe, I believe. It's all one word. It's GLUME. But the M is capitalized, and the reason why I think it's GluMe is because this is like a top-down Sokoban style puzzle game where you play as like a little slime character, and then, there are all these single screen levels, again, from that top-down perspective, and then there'll be, any number of different slimes on that level kind of scattered throughout, and then there's a number of gems as well, and you have to collect all the gems is the end goal of any given level. But then as you come into contact with any of the other slimes on the stage, they will immediately stick or glue themselves to you. So if you approach a slime from the side, you're going to, connect in like a horizontal line. So you have to really be careful with what direction you're approaching the different slimes from. Because obviously with it being a Sokoban puzzler, it's very puzzle heavy. And you have to kind of like use, in some cases, for example, there might be like a pit that's 2 tiles wide, but you can, if you line up the slimes just right, you can get, your little snake of slimes to be 3 slimes wide. So you can kind of use that to just bridge yourself over the gap. And then they're kind of throwing some different puzzles. There's some pushable blocks and, in true Sokoban style fashion, but they really get crafty with the puzzles and like, again, what order you have to move around the map in, or the levels in, to, connect yourself in like a certain L shape that will be able to reach the last gem. You can squeeze through a little gap, and you're kind of creating, like little tetramino shapes. And it's just a really, really clever game, to the point where in a pretty difficult game, again, I'm just playing the demo here, and I got to, I think, level 15. And I would say there was 2 or 3 levels where I got, pretty decently stumped and stuck for a few minutes, more than a few minutes. And then on level 15, I got to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm definitely going to get this game, so I don't want to just keep, playing through this demo. I would say there's probably another couple levels, maybe 20 levels total in the demo, but the fact that it was already getting to that level of difficulty right there was just really impressive. And I really liked the presentation. It's nothing overly impressive or anything, but it's just got some nice pixel art. And I've been a pretty big fan, or I shouldn't say big fan, but I've very much enjoyed the other games that I've played from this developer in the past. So definitely very much enjoying this one as well. It might even go so far as to say this is my favorite thing I've played of theirs so far. And then another game that I checked out the demo for, and probably the last one I'll give a shout out to here, is a game called Frogspin. And this is a really, really cool roguelike platformer that feels like it's definitely inspired by Mosalina from Stuffed Wombat, although it's definitely pulling some inspiration from a ton of other places as well. Maybe other games like Jump King or any of those games where you, for example, you play as like a little wind-up toy frog in this game. And you can't move left or right or walk or anything like that. You're just charging to the left or right, or like holding down, left or right on the controller, or WASD controls or whatever. I was just checking it out on the computer here, so I was able to, even you can use the mouse, left click and right click, and basically you're just charging up your jump and holding down the button and then releasing it at the right time to do, like, if you hold it down all the way, there's like a little circle, almost like Breath of the Wild style climbing meter that'll fill up. You can charge it up all the way and do like a big huge jump, or you can tap it and just kind of keep clicking it and do like a little short jump. I was playing mostly with the mouse here, and it actually felt pretty great, although I'm sure it would feel just fine with controls and everything like that. But yeah, it was just really clever. Basically, if you're, the main like tutorial mode seemed like it was almost like a mini campaign that's just going to show you the ropes, and then the main like kind of mode of the game, if you will, on the demo, you can just play like the short string of levels that'll string 25 levels together. So it feels very reminiscent of Mosalina in that way, where it'll just pick, you pull like a little slot machine lever and it'll pick 3 different elements that'll randomize within that procedurally generated stage, to the point where, again, I'm just checking out the demo here, so I have no idea how many different elements they're going to throw into the game here itself, and I only played a few runs. But on one stage I had like a jetpack where I was able to, after I, charge up and do my jump, I was able to then, press the button again and kind of like launch my, rocket boosters to stay airborne a little bit longer. Or at one point I collected some kind of like drill power up, and then I was able to just kind of like use the mouse to not steer left or right, but like, hold down the left or right click to kind of like direct my frog and like drill down these, like, think of like a Mario block that you can jump up and bust. It was kind of like those type of bricks that I'm, drilling down and getting all the different collectibles. And it even there's elements that remind me of Mario 2, the American version, that is, where you're like going down these tubes and then it'll bring you to like a second like underground world, and you collect something in there and then go back to the main level. So it's mostly single screen stages, but some of the stages will have like a second level within the level, if you go down like a different tube or pipe or something like that. So it's just like a really, really cool and clever game that seems like it's just packed with a ton of variety and a ton of cool ideas. And the art style is just really fantastic. It almost has like a stop motion quality to it. Not quite, because it's still pixel art, but it just has this like limited frames look to it. It might just be that might just be my computer as well, but it seems intentional, like the way the wind-up toy, keeps winding around the frog, but it's kind of like moving in a limited number of animations. I don't know how to describe it, but it just looks really cool, and it's a ton of fun to play, and it's just absolutely jam-packed with charm. And I've been checking out some other demos as well, but I think I might save some of those and table that for when I'm chatting with John and Randall next, because we've just been I've been playing a ton of cool stuff, and I feel like it's been a little while since I've kind of shared some of those games with the guys. So without further ado, I'll kick it over to John and I to do a little more video games chit chat and just kind of some general chit chat as well, in a couple little chunks of conversation. So I'll kick it over to that, and until next week, we will catch you then, and take care. It drives me nuts because, like, the Yeti, if it just didn't make that freaking huge click when you press the mute button, it would be perfect. Like, if it just had a silent mute button, that would work just fine. If I could just be like, all right, from here I'm going to play the game, keep playing and whatever, and then just hit the mute button and keep playing. And I guess I wouldn't be able to bump the audio, but I could do that easily with the in just the video after the fact. Just be like, oh, let me just edit it, just increase the audio level, because I wouldn't have to worry about editing out that mute, like push button.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been brainstorming what the best way for me to be able to do that would be.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what it is with the equipment that I have. But yeah, maybe I've thought about that too, because I was like, I bet you they just make like a mixer or whatever, like a USB thing that I could plug in that just has like a mute button on it that I could be like, oh, that'll mute. I'll program this to mute the mic in OBS, and then that's like literally all I would need to do is just invest another, small $50 or something.
Yeah.
However much those cost. But then that's the problem is like if I buy one, I'm like, well, I gotta get like, not the best one there is, but I gotta get a really good one.
Get the cheap shit.
It's like, why? It's like same thing with like I overthink the gameplay videos and stuff. It's like what's making me stop overthinking it is when I'm just like looking up these random, like when I'm babysitting my nephew. I think I've said before, the easiest thing, I think we talked about it last week, easiest thing, especially because he loves it so much, but like to put on that I can be like, oh, this is a YouTube video that's going to be safe for us to watch, that's not going to have anything crazy in it, is just like a gameplay walkthrough video of like any Nintendo game. Like we were watching Princess Peach Showtime today, and he was mesmerized by that game, man. He was just like sitting on the couch. I was like, Earth to Jackson, Earth to Jackson. Like, and he could not, take his eyes off the screen, which same here. I was like, I definitely need to get this game. I saw it for $40 at the used shop the other day, and I definitely need to snag that.
What's like the consensus on that game?
I think it's overall pretty good. It's from Good Feel, are the ones that developed it. So the ones that made Epic Yarn, Kirby, and then all the Yoshi games that have come out recently.
You also did Wario Land Shake It, right?
I think you are correct. Yeah. I think you are correct. I totally forgot they did that, but you are correct.
So they got some bona fides.
Yeah, and they did that Bakaru game, that non-Nintendo one that I scooped up that I think I talked about on the podcast a while back.
I think I have that on my wish list.
It's a cool game. It's definitely just cool to see them outside of the Nintendo realm.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of flexing their muscle without being, boxed in, even though they've done a great job with, the properties they've been given.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about popping in Shake It the other day, Wario Land. I've been kind of cycling through my Wii games. That's sort of I think what I'm inevitably going to talk about is just some like arcadey stuff that I've been playing. Played a little of that Tempest 4000 and Geometry Wars 3.
Nice.
And then I kind of want to just give a shout out to this indie roguelike that I've been playing called Ants Took My Eyeball. And it's really fun.
Nice.
I was playing did a video for that yesterday, and I was like, man, this game is just fun as hell. It's just so good. But apart from that, I feel like I want to save this for when all three of us are here. Because I've been just bouncing around on the Wii. After reading, I talked about this on the Save It for the Cast, but I read on a Reddit thread that somebody was saying that like if you find playing the games like where you have to hold the Wii remote sideways, like Metroid Other M or like the Kirby games and stuff like that, if you find it a little bit uncomfortable to hold that way, they're like, try putting like the rubber like sleeve jacket on there, and it just makes it like a little bit more substantial of a controller to hold.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like 100% alleviate the problem, but I do agree, because like on that jacket it has like the part where it's like where the Wii remote is the skinniest, where like the trigger is, where you're holding it with your left hand. That's where it's like the most bulbous on that jacket protector or whatever, like that second iteration of it that they made or whatever, or maybe that was the only iteration.
Well, there was definitely one that they had with the Wii Motion Plus too.
Okay. I thought I remember there being like a original one that was just like the exact shape, like it didn't really have an extra like rubbery like thickness to it. It was just kind of like a silicone sleeve, but those might have just been like third-party things that we sold at Best Buy at the time. They definitely probably were.
Could have been.
Definitely probably. God, that reminds me of what was that song? It's like Definitely Maybe. It was some cheesy pop punk band. I think it was like Riddlin' Kids or something like that.
Oh.
Do you remember them?
No, but I like remember the name.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Oh, hilariously today, I'm going to have to look up what songs are in this game. Because my nephew was looking at my phone and he was like, I want to see some games. And I was like, you know what? I do have a couple games on my phone. And I pulled up, first we played a little Mario Run, which, whatever, that game's fine. But then I have a version of Crazy Taxi on my phone. And we fired that up for a minute. And it's like a specific, like mobile version of it. But it's like pretty cool. But there were like these pop punk songs playing on there.
Hell yeah.
And it wasn't, I know it's like famously like Offspring is like in the original one, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, among other bands. But these songs were getting me kind of juiced, man. Or at least they were like perfect like throwbacks to where I was like, oh man, giving me that Tony Hawk vibe. But for being something that I've never heard before. And, I did like that music at a time, and I am, for stuff that I'm like nostalgic about, I can still get into it, but like, it's not like I'm like actively listening to new pop punk bands.
Same.
And I was kind of like, man, I need to see who this is. This is pretty good.
Nice.
I've been, I was kind of proud of myself the other day. I was at one of those stores that has the, I think it's Disc Replay that has the buy 5, get 1 free, which is like, that's like, you got to find a lot of games, but between all the different consoles, like, it's relatively easy to be like, even if you just go for some cheapos, like, oh, it'd be nice to have this sports game and just get that for a freebie or whatever.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to round it out. But the other day I was like looking real hard. I had like 3 in my hand, then I finally got to 4. And then I was like, all right, I just got to find 2 more. And then I was like, you know what? I don't really need or want that. Well, I don't need any of these games, but I don't want any of these games that bad. Like one of the ones I had was Tony Hawk 1 and 2 on PS4 because I wasn't impressed with how that ran on Switch.
Yeah.
And I tried running it on Switch 2 just to see if it ran any better. And there hasn't been any kind of like patch or anything, but just to see if like, oh, maybe it just, is a little snappier and didn't make much of a difference, especially that I'm playing it off the cartridge.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wouldn't mind having it on there. And I can't even remember what. Oh, the one I did have that. I'm kind of mad I didn't get it now, but I had that Fist of the North Star game from Sega on PS4. I had that in my hand, and I had this 3DS game called like Shifting Worlds or something like that. It said it was like part of like the Shift universe. I think they started as like Flash games or mobile games or something, but it was like this 2D platformer that you can like shift into 3D and shift the perspective between black and white. And it said on the back too, it said it was set in the Shift universe, which again, I know it spawned off those like Flash games or whatever they were, the original games. But I do have another game on my Switch that DJ recommended to me way back when called Shift Quantum. And it's also, I just played a little bit of it the other day. Finally, he told me to play that game like years ago, like before the podcast. I finally fired it up the other day and I was like, and it uses that same mechanic of like, it's a fully 2D platformer, but you're shifting between like the black and white, positive and negative space in the levels and kind of like using that as like the puzzle platformer mechanic. And I was like, I wonder if that game's part of this series. It very well could be.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of mad I didn't scoop it up, but the fact that I can't even remember what the 4th game was that I had in my hand, like I was about to buy like Epic Mickey 1 and 2 on the Wii, and I was like, I don't need these games, even though I kind of want to have those too. I mean, we're talking when you can get Epic Mickey for $4 on the Wii. It's like I'm kind of just curious to pop it in and see if this was any good.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was developed by that Warren Spector guy.
What else he do?
Who's like famous for? Let me see. I know he's like a famous developer from before that. I feel like
name sounds familiar, but I don't.
I feel like he's from like the PC days. Let me see. Warren Spector.
Oh, Deus Ex.
Oh, there you go. Okay, perfect. System Shock.
Yep.
Or wait, hold on. Yeah.
Thief.
Ultima. Underworld. So Epic Mickey kind of out of nowhere. And that was kind of like his comeback game.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he's like a teacher, I guess. I have been loving, I shouldn't say loving, but I've been enjoying having the Olympics on lately to just just to like have some background noise without having to think about what to put on.
Yeah.
But I do find like I grew up watching, like my mom was into like the figure skating and the gymnastics, which apparently it seems like everyone I talk to, their moms were into that. But I find the figure skating to be just like mind-numbingly boring. Like, I don't know what it is about it.
Even though they brought back the backflip?
Yeah, I didn't know was it banned? Was that a banned maneuver?
Yeah, it was banned.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just that this kid, is just like, oh, I can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just find it boring. And just there's something weird about like, or I don't know if weird's the right word, but like the other day there was like a duo like doing their number or whatever you call it to Backstreet's Back, all right.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is in the fucking Olympics.
Yeah.
This is in the Olympics. I was like, this is just this. I feel like I'm at my sister's dance recital watching like the youngest kids do their like performance,
Right.
Like that doesn't feel like a worthy song of being in the Olympics. I don't know how else to describe it than that.